So Facebook Live, that's what we do. We do it Facebook Live Saturdays, 11 a.m. from our Pershore Pinhole Quilting Showroom. So welcome to the showroom for another session with myself, Liz, and Pete. The theme this week really is about the good stuff that's happening. So in the UK, we are hopefully able to meet up with friends or relatives in gardens. So that'll be nice. And Easter's coming up, so we're looking forward to that. The daffodils are out, spring bulbs are just starting to poke through, and I even heard the sound of lawnmowers this week. So, you know, overall things are looking good. So, I mean, on my blog post this week, it's about life's so bright, gotta wear shades. And I hark back when I was speaking to a customer this week to the times when I used to have about 10 pairs of sunglasses and lived in a very nice warm climate and really appreciated that beautiful sunshine that we used to get on a regular basis, which has sadly been lacking here in the UK for a while. So let's look forward to the spring and summer. Clocks are changing tomorrow, so again, spring forward. Don't forget to change your clock. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about, that life's so bright, gotta wear shades. We've had a fantastic machine in our stable, our handy quilter stable, for many years. And in fact, the first time I ever saw a handy quilter in action was at the Houston Quilt Show in 2009. And I was over there with my mum and dad. I was working at the cotton patch at the time, and the Avanti had just been launched. And it was sitting on a table, and we'd been invited to an evening session, the launch of this new machine that was going to be CE certified so we could sell it in Europe. And we were talking to Handy Quilter about becoming a distributor. It was a very exciting time. And the Avanti was the machine that we launched with. Since then, we have sold a lot of Avantis. It's been, I would say, for the majority of professional and domestic hobby quilters, it was very much the machine of choice. We've still got many of our original customers still using their machines. And in fact, I know that Sue down in Sussex will be watching today. Hi, Sue. And Sue, I had a conversation with her this week. She absolutely loves the machine. She and Margaret, she and her sister, Margaret, share it. And their nicknames are, Honeybun and Curly Top, I think it is. But that represents their different hairstyles. The thing about the Avanti is that whilst it's been an absolutely fantastic machine, you know, all good things come to an end. And this week we sold our last Avanti, our last new Avanti. We still have some demonstration ones that we'll use for training. So our last new Avanti was sold this week, and Handy Quilter are still going to support that machine for many, many years, but there will not be any new ones being made. So yeah, we've still got lots of customers using them. Yes, you might have an old one.
There's
Sorry.
a lot of love coming in from people who have their Avantis. Love my Avanti from Annette and from Lynn Cook and Patricia.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Patricia Hale.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw Patricia's setup over there in the Adirondacks. Hello, Patricia. It's good to have you
and Stuart
here.
Well.
Of course, Stuart.
Stuart's online. Morning, Stuart.
Yeah, good morning, Stuart. Your Avanti, tried and tested, definitely. It's a real workhorse. But over the years, the older style Avantis, I can't remember when they changed them. Might have been 4 or 5 years ago.
14.
Was it when they changed them that they got the LEDs?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you've got a pre-2015 machine, depending on when you bought it in 2014, you might like to have a look at the underside of your handlebars where all the lights are. There's 2 different sets of lights in there. There's some UV lights and there's some regular lights. And there are 6 regular lights either side of, I think there's 2 or 3 UV, can't remember. I took a picture, it's on the blog. Now, those are bulbs. The older ones are bulbs, and bulbs have faded over time for some customers. And this is why Sue was calling. So Sue said, can I get some replacement bulbs? And you will see, it's not quite sort of a valve technology, but you know, these are old style. Can you see that? Closer. Yeah, Pete's going to hold it. So this is the old style bulbs.
Focusing on that. of course, but...
If I come out of the way, will it?
There we go. Yes, you can see that.
Okay.
It's very different from current technology.
Yeah, and this is the current one, if you want to hold that. So this is what we would suggest you replace it with if your bulbs are dimmed.
This is now 4 little LEDs on here that give out far more light than the original ones anyway.
Yeah, and Sue's just received her parcel and installed her bulbs. On our blog, I will update it afterwards with the pictures that Sue sent. I might put them on Facebook. So it's quite interesting to see the difference in the lights and the amount of light they shine onto your quilt, which helps obviously with precision when you're doing ruler work and you really want to get absolutely bang on to where you want to sew. So that would be the thing I would say to those people who've got their lovely, much loved Avanti machines. Let's get some more brightness in your life. Now we're about to place another order for accessories. We've been wiped out of the LED lights. If you want to replace them all, you need 12. And you can go on our website, you'll see that they are out of stock at the moment. So email us instead and tell us if you would like some, how many you would like, we'll add it to the order, and that way we can get some in for you with the next order. Talking of orders, this weekend, hooray! Our new order that we ordered from Handy Quilter quite a while ago. But honestly, shipping at the moment, globally, quite apart from the very large vessels stuck in the Suez Canal, which has got nothing to do with bringing over Handy Quilters, except for the fact that globally shipping is in a real mess at the moment. For various reasons, everybody stopped ordering, then everybody started ordering again in September. And we had an email from our shippers yesterday to say, what's happening. So it's taken a while for us to get this latest shipment over here, and I think it was basically 12 days after it was booked that we could get it over here. Now, if you've got an order in for a machine, hooray, they're arriving this week. So we will be checking them out, doing what we normally do, putting them together with all the goodies that you might have ordered with them, and we will be calling you, or emailing you rather, to arrange installation or delivery, and it'll be after Easter. We don't want to be doing anything this side of Easter for the same reason about shipping. We don't want stuff stuck in hubs over the Easter holidays. That's never a good thing. Okay. Oh, Derek and Sandra. Oh, Sandra's got Avanti.
Yes, my microphone was on, Derek, but I've just unplugged and replugged again, just in case it wasn't connected. Is that any better?
Am I okay?
Yes, nobody's complained about you.
Well, apart from my husband. Okay, so now, machines arriving on Monday, and yeah, we will contact you and discuss delivery, installation, and all the rest of it. So that's cool. We're really happy about that because it has been a little problematic. The other thing that we had, it was a worldwide quilting day this time last week. Fantastic. We had lots and lots of posts and some really cool stuff happening with a giveaway on Instagram. And we were delighted that an Avanti owner, Cloda, she's got an Avanti and doing some beautiful, beautiful work on it. And she sent us some photos of what she's just completed. So I'll be posting those on our blog post as well and on Facebook to share with you. She said that I could do that along with some quotes from her. I think I posted it on Facebook last night actually, but anyway, we'll put something on Instagram as well. So congratulations, Cloda. We're absolutely delighted that you love your Handy Quilter, and we are delighted that you won all those goodies, all that Handy Quilter swag. I'm looking over here because there's a note of all the things that, in case you wonder why I'm staring off into the distance. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, had a question with a customer who's got an Amara about encoder, well, stitch regulation really. And it set us sort of thinking and discussing with one of the engineers. The thing about when you do your cleaning, tracks and wheels can get grubby. And when you're doing circles, if it ever feels like you're either fighting the circles and you never used to, or if you feel like there's a bump, you'll probably find it's a combination of sort of bits of lint and fabric dust and thread lint that has just come off and decided to relocate to your wheels or your tracks. Now, I noticed when I was using the Moxie that the wheels on most of the machines are flat, and you can literally put sort of your fingernail and run it along the wheel, and that's a great way to remove bits of dust and fluff. But on the Moxie, the wheels are sort of concave, so you've got to be a little bit more careful about getting rid of that dust. The other thing is the tracks. On the tracks on all of the machines, the encoder runs on either the track, or on the Moxie it runs on the aluminium by the track. Now, a suggestion from Paul, who's our engineer over there on the Welsh coast at Tywyn. Paul suggested that people use isopropyl alcohol. It's quite good, it's quite neutral, and do it on the encoder wheel as well as your tracks. That's our suggestion. That's not something Handy Quilters told us. So we just, Paul's suggestion, I should say. And I think that was a really good idea, because what can happen is the rubber of the encoder wheel can get lots of bits of dust on it, and it can slip. So that's one suggestion if you've got irregular sized stitches. Look at your encoder, and one of those checks is to do that. Other things. Oh, we've had a great week for getting deliveries in. The Wonderfill, which are the pre-wound deco bobs that we absolutely love. We put together some presentation boxes of these. There we go. Beautiful. This is 2 of the sets. We've got 3 different colorways in some very popular colors, and also some more esoteric colors that you might not want 24 of. So we've put together these sets. They include the bobbin box, which is the Handy Quilter bobbin box, which is lovely, and they make nice gifts. So just thought I'd mention those. You can find them on our website under the Wonderfill products pages. And we've got some new colors in the deco bobs. But just to say that one of the things that, is part of basically us doing a lot more in terms of the products and sort of doing this Facebook Live is that we will be increasing our selection of threads. So just to give you the heads up on that. Wonderfill is the start of that.
Okay, 2 questions, Liz, worth picking up on.
Firstly, okay, I'll just grab my coffee while you ask the question.
Don't know if my microphone's working, but first question is, are the lights easy to install?
That's a really good question. I have put it on the blog post as well and put these there. So these push in, they've got like a 3-prong.
Down a bit.
Down a bit?
Yeah.
Okay, they've got the 3 prongs, and so they push into the underside of the handlebars. To get them out, you can either use, if you've got a good strong fingernail, you can lever it out with your fingernail. That's what I normally do. Or a fairly thin flathead screwdriver would work. I have got a little dent in my fingernail, so obviously I tried to lever it out. I am not responsible for any fingernails that may be broken in the process of you removing your lights.
Okay, and the other question was, where are the encoder wheels?
Ah.
So we can go and have a look at these on the Moxie.
Okay.
Just to show you, this is the same for all
I'll go around the back.
Machines. So on this side of the machine, it looks slightly different depending on what machine you've got. Yeah,
it'll be over here, and it runs on the right-hand side of the carriage. On the Moxie, when it's shipped, the encoder is quite often like this when you take the machine out of the box. It's attached to the machine, yeah? And it's this rubber wheel that is the encoder. And what this does is it takes the physical movement of a wheel moving. Oh, there's a little bit of dust on there, you see. It takes that physical movement and translates it into a digital signal that the machine can then use to tell it whether the machine is going faster or slower. In that axis, we call that the y-axis, and you can remember that because it goes forward and backwards to you, y. That's the only way I can remember it. Most of them are plugged in to, more recent models have got these sort of a radio type plug like this, and you hear it made a little noise, so the machine knows when it's been plugged in. I might have to turn it off and on again. I'll probably do that anyway, because I don't want to have a problem when I start stitching. Turn it back on. And it will come up with an error message on the Moxie, actually, to say the encoder isn't plugged in. I don't know whether you know that, Pete, but I found that out. The back wheel one, on the Moxie, it runs just on this aluminium track. On your Avanti, Amara, Simply, etc., it'll actually run on a black track that's inside an aluminium track. I don't really want to show that on the Simply we've got over there, Pete. But this one has also got a little retainer screw there to stop this getting pulled out, because historically, with that lovely Avanti, it has a flat grey ribbon cable that holds the encoder information. And that flat grey ribbon cable didn't have any locking mechanism on it. It was easy enough to, it was quite easy to take it out. Equally, it was easy to accidentally knock it out, which quite often was those phone calls where we just know within about 30 seconds that someone's pulled out the encoder cable. Because basically they say, my machine is no longer stitching in regulated mode. Have you been around the back of the machine? Have you checked your encoder cable? And if it's hanging loose, that will be the reason. So that's the encoders. The rubber wheels, all the machines, when they're shipped new, get shipped with a spare encoder cable. How about this? If you have a problem, look at not encoder wheel. Thank you, Pete. He stopped immediately in his tracks. She's got it wrong. Encoder wheel, actually rubber wheel.
Tire. It's the rubber tire.
Yeah, it's the rubber tire. So they're all shipped with a spare one. And probably, I would imagine, there's a ton of people think, what is that? What is that? And it's probably sitting in the box from the original time that you had your machine. So how about if you have a problem with the number of stitches that you're seeing? It doesn't happen very often. We just had a couple of people this last week ask us about it. And if it happens, why not change the encoder rubber wheel, O-ring, and change it for a new one that you might have in your box of handy quilter accessories.
And the type of cleaner to clean the tyres, we recommend isopropyl alcohol. You need something that doesn't have any sort of lubricant in it. It has to be like a degreaser.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the tyre will slip on the track.
That's true. Is that what we've got with those little swabs? Are they isopropyl?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. You can get it from, I mean, in the States, it's really common to have isopropyl alcohol. I don't know why it's more common over there, but anyway, you can get it. I think you can get it from Boots. Boots, the chemists. I will have to do a little searching and find out for you. But you can get anything from that South American jungle place. So, right, we are very, very excited about the next thing, aren't we, Pete? I've gone through everything, I think. Yeah, I can cover the other stuff in due course. Any questions? Any questions to answer? Because I don't feel like I'm sort of answering any questions that anybody's got.
Any tips on where to buy isopropyl alcohol? Well, we haven't actually looked, so I don't know.
We haven't. No, we've recommended something. As I said, some South American jungle place might have it, but
as Liz said, I think you can get them sort of impregnated into small cloths. That might be a good way of buying it.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Stuart's kindly answered one of the previous questions. So
perfect.
I think we're okay.
I love that. Thank you, Stuart. And congratulations on, I saw on Stuart's Facebook, Stuart Hillard has got a Avanti with Pro Stitcher, and I saw on his Facebook post this week and on Instagram, the photo of that very first Great British Sewing Bee. We were so excited. We were so excited when that launched on mainstream TV. It's like there had been no generally sewing programs up to that point that I can think of anyway. And to see the lineup of people, and actually I think, Stuart, we'd met at Sewing for Pleasure earlier in the year, hadn't we? And you'd sort of said, I'm on this program. And that was really exciting because, you were already obviously a quilter, but not so much a sewer. And nobody will ever forget some of those things that you made on the Great British Sewing Bee. But it was because you were entertaining. So that was fantastic. But the customer who won it, Cotton Patch customer, Anne Rowley from Birmingham, a lady in her, I think she was in her early 80s at the time, amazing person, does yoga, and sort of, I remember the trailer for it was Anne hanging upside down in some amazing yoga position. But anyway, there was also Jane, who is unfortunately didn't stay on it very long. She got, I don't know why I'm laughing, because it's really not funny. Poor Jane, she had had some dodgy sandwich from the cafe or something, and poor Jane got food poisoning. So she subsequently wasn't in the other episodes. And Jane has an Amara with Pro Stitcher, so that's very cool. So right, now I'm going to talk about the new products. We've got some very exciting new products. We did sort of get a few in initially, and they just sold. So we thought we'd better get some more. So we've now got over 40 different designs in these things. These things being stencils. Stencils that are nylon, and they are almost like a fabric. But what's brilliant about them is they have designs that when you wipe over this with Quilt Pounce, the design appears on your quilt. Now, what is Quilt Pounce? For those who don't know, Quilt Pounce is this product here. And the Quilt Pounce is by the people who make the stencils. In this particular one, which is the ultimate, it goes away with either microfiber. It goes away either with microfiber or one of those red brushes. I don't even know what they're called, but one of those sort of brushes. It gets rid of it as well. Or you can use an iron. So I'll show you an iron in a second. The way that the Quilt Pounce works is that we put, you get it, when you get it, it's completely empty. And you get a packet of white powder, innocuous white powder. And the white powder, you open up this red chamber here and pour some of the white powder in, and then you do this a lot. I'm not going to do it where my coffee is. I'm just going to knock like this until eventually, it'll take a while, but eventually the white chalk will come through. There's a mesh, and then there's like this lovely fleecy pad, and then when you wipe over they're called full line stencils. When you wipe over the stencil, it appears on your quilt. So I will now demonstrate said process.
A few questions in already, Liz.
Okay.
Right.
What's he doing? Oh no.
Press the wrong button.
Don't turn me off.
Okay, so Sue Such says, I have a couple of these, but really struggle to get rid of it. I think she's talking about the chalk.
Oh. There's different ones. You might have had the original one, Sue. Depends how old it is. There's one that's white, there's one that's blue, there's one that's pink. We don't stock those, we just stock the ultimate one. I'll show you. It's very easy.
It's difficult to get rid of it.
It's really not.
Another question, can I also use those blue stencils with fabric paint?
They do say that, I haven't tried it yet, but I did see that Marilyn, who runs the company, she said that you can. Yes, it'll go through the mesh. It's a bit like, I haven't used it yet, but screen printing stuff. It reminds me of screen printing. So where it's open and white, I think paint will go through. I've got to try that. I will try that straight afterwards with the Inktense pencils, because that is cool.
And I guess you then just have to wash the stencil to get rid of.
You would want to do that. And in fact, there's a whole load of things on our website and on our blog post about how easy it is to clean these stencils up, get rid of excess pounce, etc. And they are really good.
Guy says you can also get pink powder, and you can get different coloured powders as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, only dye that. That's great, and I'm glad it works for you. I don't particularly like the pink and the blue because that means it's got pigment in it, and I'm not a big fan of putting other things on my quilt. So we've taken a decision only to do the white. So that's what we've done.
Which of course doesn't work if you've got white fabric.
Yeah, if you've got white fabric, this ain't going to work. So that is the downside of them. But the plus side, if we compare to normal plastic stencil, is that with this, obviously the thing with this is that the designs are much more limited, and you have to join Otherwise, this whole thing would, if it was just a grid, the whole thing would just fall through, wouldn't it? So a conventional stencil is a bit more limited in what designs you can do. Whereas with this, you get the full effect of the stencil, which I think is very cool because we've got some amazing designs. I mean, this one, I love this one. Absolutely love this. So this morning, I stitched that out. Do you want to bring the camera over, Pete?
Yeah.
And we'll go through how you put it on.
Okay, and somebody spotted as they do every week, the accessories tray that we've got here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do sell that tray. It's called the Tool Tray 2. We've sold a lot of them since it was last mentioned. I think there's just one left in stock.
Yeah, it's really handy. I love it. Absolutely love it. And just to mention, because I actually had a question from one of the customers who had received hers this week, the way you get it in, when it arrives in sections. That's just come out of there. But it arrives in sections of these things are in like a little packet, and you have to put this on the underside, and it just, I guess that just screws in place. Yes, it does. The way that it rests on the take-up bar means that you can rotate the take-up bar, and it just rests on here and it doesn't fall off. The original tool tray was not particularly well designed, and this one is a much better version.
Very good point from Derek.
Oh, go on then.
The UV lights on the Avanti are great for showing the Pounce powder on light fabric. Of course they are.
That is a great thought, Derek. The Avanti UV lights, brilliant. And if you don't have an Avanti with UV lights, I'm guessing that you could get like a UV light thing and put it on.
Yes.
And just, have it attached to like a little light on the side of your machine.
The USB slot
into the
of the handy quilting machines.
Yeah, that would work.
UV light accessory.
Yeah. So a couple of things about putting this on that I've found. You can put it on, and I'm going to talk about the little foot frame separately later, because I just want to mention how really just to get the stencil onto your quilt first. I find that when I'm putting on stencils like this directly onto the quilt that's on your frame, as opposed to doing it in advance, I think if you did it in advance, by the time you get to quilt it, it'll have disappeared. So most of the time you will be doing this marking whilst it's out and you're sort of stitching a section at a time. What I like to do is make sure it's actually tighter than I might sew with it in order to apply the stencil. So just to show you, actually I won't use that one, I'll just use this small one. So if I wanted to put this on, or perhaps maybe this one here, little one here. If I put that there, and just like that, I will just tighten this one more so that it's actually really firm, because otherwise you get a bit of movement. You might want to just knock your Pounce a few times just to make sure that there is plenty of chalk, and then I try to hold the stencil in that direction and that direction, just like this finger and this finger, and then just wipe over like that, and look at that. Beautiful. Nice clear stencil. And if I had it in the wrong, if it was wrong in any way and I wanted to get rid of it.
So Linda says that you can also get UV Pounce. I wasn't aware of that. Okay, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Susan, no, that's Susan. The thread that is being used here is a straightforward glide thread. I think the colour is peppermint on this one.
Yeah. So if I want to get rid of that, I can either use, I'll just show, I can either use one of this, like this, or I can use a microfiber cloth, or I can use a hot iron. There we go. And as if by magic,
there we go.
It's all gone. Fantastic. And it also means that if you've got excess chalk, because I use quite a lot of chalk on that, you can actually get rid of it off your stencil as well. Which is a real bonus. There we go.
Okay, question from Lorraine. Is that a 1-inch grid? She spotted obviously the grid that you've got over here.
Oh, Lorraine, eagle-eyed Lorraine. Yes, it is a 1-inch grid. So this is the 1-inch grid I was going to show you. yeah, there's a few different, what I think we could probably divide the stencils into 3 different types. You've got structural ones, like this, so grids on point. So if I just pick these out, so something like this would be a 1-inch grid on point, as opposed to the one that I marked up that and did some sort of little playing around with how I would use that. That one's 1 inch on point. We've got a 1.5 inch straight. So that's, again, really, really handy. We've also got ones that you could use for borders. Oh yeah, and we've got a little one. This is lovely, 1/2 inch. Yep, so nice little 1/2 inch one. Now there's actually 3 different sizes of stencils. We've got one rogue stencil that's that's kind of between these 2, but most of them are this size. Normal price on this will be £12, but we've got an introductory offer with 10% off. So that's £10.80 at the moment until next week. And then we've also got the smaller ones, and they would normally be £6, and again 10% off. So those will be £5.40. The other type of structural ones, this is perfect for borders. If you want to do your E's and L's or anything else where you want a regular line so that you can mark it for, I don't know, piano keys or anything else like that, then we've got 2 different sizes of that. Plus we've got one, this reminded me a little bit of the Pam Clark, who's a very well-known quilter. She used to have the sort of an 8-point star, and this is very useful. It's got these sort of bit like the border one, but also one that you can put into a block. So that's really useful.
Terry asks, do we stock the stencil for the Dream Big panel?
No, I did see there was one, but
yeah.
If you're interested, you know, we'll be ordering. I think we'll be ordering quite a few of these on the next delivery. So if you want any specific ones that you know that these guys do, just email and we can probably add it to the order.
Yeah, there are hundreds of different
there
designs.
Are.
We've got 40 in initially.
Yeah. I thought this was beautiful. You know, mandalas are very, very popular. And at the back, by the way, on the back of each of these, quite often they've got suggestions for how you can use them. So not on the back of that one, I picked a good example there, beautiful. This is a good example, there you go. That mandala there. Yep, so, or use it to aid in the placement of your applique. There you go, hadn't thought about that. There's some small ones. Debbie Brown's done 3 different ones and we're stocking those. And these have got like a nice reference for a border design for little swirls. Particularly, I'm thinking that, you know, particularly for people who might have the little footer frame, the edge-to-edge designs, I'll come on to those in a second actually. One final one I wanted to mention is the baseline. There's 3 different types of baseline ones. And the baselines give you the structure, but then you fill in the details. And there is a PDF of how to go from that to this, to this, to this, or examples of that. There's a 12 or 13 page PDF that you can get on our website with the baseline packets. There's 3 different ones of that. I thought they were really useful because when I was doing the feathers class that Talan Jeffrey was running, you know, we did sort of the spine and then filled in the feathers. And for more advanced people who are happy with feathers but just need the consistency of the spine, then these stencils will be perfect. But if you want to build up and actually understand how to get the right shape and size of feathers, then that is absolutely brilliant. This is the Rogue one. We seem to have ordered the sweeping feather border is in a different size. But that's really, I thought it's just really nice, so that you can actually use that. And you can use them on both sides, of course. So if they are sort of go one way then the other, like this one, we've got 2 and 4 inch circles. This is quite interesting because you could, you know, the way that you can do circles is actually to do half and do a wiggle like so, and then come back the other way. and then that creates your full circle. It's actually how Pro Stitcher sews circles, interestingly. But this is cool because you've got little markers for alignment. And the way that this one and the 4-inch circles works as well is that you go this way and then you go that way, and it beds in so that you can do right across your quilt, should you so desire. Very nice for modern quilting. You don't have to use it with a ruler. You know, you could go for a more organic circle, and but you've got the consistency of the scale.
So Terry also says that Marilyn from Line Stencil shows how to use a storage box with a cutting mat on it to support the quilt when using the stencils.
Oh, good. Okay.
She puts that on the table base.
Yeah, that's good.
The quilt, takes it away, quilts that row, and then repeats for each row.
Brilliant.
Okay.
I need to watch that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Terry. Perfect. Now the other type. So we've got ones that we might use in blocks. We've got structural ones for doing grids and things like baseline borders. Then we've also got, particularly lovely, I think, for people who've got like the little foot frame, that you might want to just do a section at a time, and then we move the little foot frame around. These are all edge-to-edge designs with reference marks, so you can make sure your alignment is correct. So for the area you've just stitched, you can now mark up the next area. And I thought there was going to be something on the back, but there isn't. There we go, there's that one. So this is like a clouds one, and it shows that there's where the alignments are to enable you to do edge to edge all the way down your quilt.
So lovely. You don't have to have the pantograph and the rear handlebar kit.
There you go. And there are some, we got this one for example, because I thought this was quite fun, Seeing Stars border in 2 scales, but also there's an option of the Seeing Stars little edge to edge design that you could do within your quilt.
So can you use these with a sit-down machine as well, Liz?
You can, and I know that Sharon, who's one of our local customers that's got a sit-down, she's got some of these from when we ran a workshop last year. She bought the grid, and she bought some of the other ones. What the difference is that obviously you're not going to be doing the big designs, because by the time you've manipulated your quilt, you probably got rid of the Pounce. But where it comes into its own is things like the grids and the structural ones where you're doing a section at a time. I think it partly depends on how you handle the quilt. If you've got a sit-down long arm like our Sweet 16 or the Capri or the Pfaff Power Quilter, we have a pretty big area that we can kind of quilt within a section and not have to keep moving it. If you're a domestic machine customer, then you might find that you're manipulating the quilt too much and you end up with the Pounce all having gone.
So Bonnie says that she uses the stencils with her sit down, just don't mark it all at once.
Well, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Bonnie. That's really, really useful. And that's why the grids are good, because you just do a section and then you can move it around and do the next section. So that's it for the stencils. I was just going to do a quick demo because I wanted to show, I will just mark up that my feather again, because I don't really want to move the quilt on. Here it is.
So no, you don't have to have a long arm, so you can use this with a domestic machine as well, of course, yes.
Brilliant. Thank you. I love the way that questions get answered, Pete, without us having to answer them. It's absolutely fantastic. So let me just put that on there. There you go. Just as easy as that. Very quick. Stopping and starting. One of our customers who's got an Avante, she bought a second user Avante, and she wanted to know about not creating a mess on the back.
Come around the other side, Liz. I think it'll be easier from this side.
Yeah, so not creating a mess on the back when you're stopping and starting. Pete nearly fell over there. The key thing is to make sure that you bring both the top and the bottom thread, and you're holding them loosely on the top when you start. So what I would normally do, I'm going to start here. I position my needle so that it's above my start point. I use my right hand to control the handlebars. I hold the top thread loosely in my left hand, and I do needle down and needle up, and then move the machine away, and it pops up the bobbin thread. I always pull on that bobbin thread, because if it's caught, I know about it now before I make a big mess on the back. And at this point, I do some securing stitches. So 1, 2, I'm just slightly moving it. Oop,
and you're just holding those two threads
I'm just
loosely.
Exactly. So now I'm ready to start sewing. So that's how you make sure you don't have bobbly bits on the back. Right, shall I just
Go ahead.
do this? Okay. Oh, and the settings for this, by the way, I've got it in cruise, and I've got 75 as my stitches per minute when it's not moving. Okay, so that gives me a little bit more flowing design. Oh, right. This is the learning point that I wanted to show you all, okay? Couldn't have planned it beautifully if I'd actually thought ahead. Now, I did this on the other feather, and I said to people, I want to show people this because what is important to do is it's very easy to pounce, and then you find you can't actually get to the bit you just did. So what you need to do is before you start sewing.
So Liz has reached the point, you see, where the machine has hit the back bar, so she can't go back any further than that.
Exactly. So what I need to do is I need to move this forward, like so.
And then you've got space to do the design.
Yeah, and I don't end up with a flat feather like I did before.
Best to do that before you start.
Do that before you start. Always do that before you start. The other thing you also want to do is if your loft frame, studio frame or little foot frame is on wheels, lock the wheels. Because the other thing that happens is as you lean forward, the whole frame moves. That was the mistake over there. So, right, I'm going to do this one next. One more. Can't actually see that. There we go. I'll probably just stop there. Now, I'm not saying that that's the path that you would always necessarily take. If Linda's watching this, I'm always worried when Linda Jackson's watching this, who's an absolute feather queen, but she's thinking, well, listen, I don't know why you went that way. You don't want to do that. Okay, because my feathers are nowhere near as good as Linda's are. So there we go. That is our little feather. And what's lovely, I'm going to show you actually on the back of these three. I thought this was great. Look, this is by the lovely Talen Jeffrey, who we would have had at our academy last year, but of course we couldn't. And it just shows you how you can repeat those little 4 different sizes of feather wings to create blocks and triangles and get it to fit into your quilt. So that's lovely.
Linda's watching, Liz.
Oh, she...
Linda's watching.
Linda. There we go, fancy feather border. Lovely. And that was the all over seeing stars, just showing how you can do the repetition. So if you do things like the blocks and the squares, we're okay for time for a second. Just wanted to mention about doing these blocks. So now, how should I demo that? Should I draw it? I'll draw it. This is what I've sewn, but I'm just going to show you how, for those people who don't know, it's a little bit tight back here. Just make sure I didn't yank my mic out. No, it's okay. Right, so if I have my grid, my 1-inch grid, and I want to create a repeating design, you can do it as a continuous line design. And there are lots of different ways that people do this. You wouldn't believe how many different ways you can do this, but this is one way you can do it. What you're trying to do is not have to stop and start. So when you get to this point, you can either go like that and just keep going, or you can do like this sort of thing, and then come back, and then you can start from here.
Always good to practice on a piece of paper first.
Yeah, which is what I did before I started. I still got it wrong, but you know. And the nice thing is at any point you can just stop. Yeah, pretty much any point. I'm just going to come back and I'll show you how we stop and come up that left-hand side, and we just finish by doing that. Here we go. That's all now done. But of course, there's lots of different things that you can do in grids. So here's some examples. Squidging down some, but leaving some unquilted. These bits that are unquilted will create a lovely relief. And on here, I just showed you could do like half of a square instead. And that would create sort of like a diagonal line of stitching effectively by the time you've stitched it all. And the other thing is to mention about clamshells. It's not very, I wouldn't say it's my best work, but this is just freehand clamshells. But freehand clamshells within the grid that I'd marked always start at the bottom with clamshells. So you go this line and then come back this way and then build up. It's always easier to nail these going that way than it is to come back down. So that's just something on clamshells. And then this is me just messing around. I don't know whether anybody's ever done that one before. I'm sure they have, but I haven't seen it. And I thought this was quite fun because it makes sort of like little arrows. And you could just make it random like that, or you could make it so it looks like probably like a little maple leaf. You could have a couple of those. So there's all different things. I mean, it's just doodling. At the end of the day, it's all just nice and doodling. And, you know, we can create some beautiful areas where we've knocked back and created these sort of very nice grid shapes using those 1 inch, 1.5 inch grids on point or straight. Oh yeah, yeah. If somebody messes up, sad times. We've got a messed up stencil and I can iron it out like so, and I have a nice flat stencil. Whereas normally with stencils, what you find is somebody messes up your stencil and it never ever goes flat again. There we go. And I said, I mean, you can get rid of the chalk if it's sort of overlaid with so much chalk and you can't see it anymore. Then you could wash it as well. All of the use and all of the care instructions for this are on our website, handyquilter.co.uk, or there are links on the blog post.
So Sally Mottram's just finished a fantastic course on feathers with Jane Heprick, who's a very good teacher.
Yeah, Jane's brilliant on feathers.
She says it doesn't really matter which way you go with your feathers as long as you're happy with the result.
That's a very good piece of advice, and I really love that Jane is doing those classes, that, you know, we can all pick up on these classes around the world, from Jane and Talen and anybody else who's doing the classes worldwide. I've just signed up for one which isn't on quilting, it's on piecing with Jenny Haynes.
How hot was your iron, Liz?
Oh, I just had it on 2. I could have gone, yeah, I've got it on 3, actually.
Cool to medium.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it fairly hot because I wanted to get rid of it all without.
Iron, so if you do have it too hot, it probably will melt.
Yeah.
Don't want to do that.
No, but it hasn't so far. I think I might test it later. Okay, that is it, I think. Have we done everything? Next week is Easter. And like a lot of people in the UK, we are really looking forward to meeting up with family and friends in their gardens, obviously just in their gardens. And so therefore, we will not be doing Facebook Live next Saturday, but we will be back the week after that. Yeah, we've decided it would be good to have a little break, get our garden straight, as well, and maybe get the vegetable patch prepared. That would be exciting. There's going to be a little bit warmer weather this week, but we're looking forward to doing some installations this week before we do that, and we'll be seeing some of our new customers, and we'll be emailing those new customers as well that are expecting their Handy Quilter delivery imminently, and we look forward to welcoming you to the Handy Quilter family, which is a very friendly place to be.
Let's just summarise the offer again, Liz, before we sign off.
Yeah, so the offer is, these stencils are on an introductory offer at 10% off. Now, let me tell you about the fantastic offer we've got. So that's just the introductory offer, but we've got a very special offer for 1 week only till 12 noon next Friday. We will have an offer that says if you buy 3 stencils, any sizes, and spend over £75, you get a free Pounce.
So the rest of the spend could be on any other products?
Thread or feet or whatever you fancy. Over £75, include 3 stencils, we'll throw in the Pounce. You don't need to add it to your order. That is worth £14 normally, $12.60 at reduced price, but what a fantastic saving that represents. So I think, I hope it's a great opportunity for you to getting into stencils and marking and maybe grid work and all that kind of stuff that, you know, is all part of the long arm learning curve.
And I have just after you say my usual, while stocks last.
While stocks last. Yes, while stocks last. Because this week is it. This is our launch for the full line stencils, and we really hope that we can encourage as many customers as possible to take up that offer. Okay, it's been great to have you here with us at the Pinhole Quilting Showroom, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And have a fun time over Easter.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter. Okay, bye now.